Hi. I would have brought the kitty right now, but she's sleeping. So, sorry. Before I even get into anything, I'm going to share down below one of the most incredible, amazing YouTube channels I've ever seen. I have been watching this guy for a few days now, and I feel like I found him in the absolute perfect time. A very deep thinker, a very, very practical, rational, logical explanations of existence, the spirit world, life. Very deep stuff. I'm going to link just a random link down below. He explains certain secret societies and the misconceptions about them and the actual truth about their beliefs and things like that, like such as the Rosicrucians and even the Illuminati, who were really real and presumably still are real. But he explains it in a way that makes so much sense, and it's really interesting, guys. You got to check it out. Last night, I saw something that I've been seeing for several years now that some of you know, and I'm talking about the big white owl. I've been seeing this owl all over the county fly over me. It was, you know, the story, guys. Some of the older subscribers know what I'm talking about. It flew right by me, right by my front door, right here before. It flew in completely random locations where I would be traveling to, whether it be at work or for whatever. I'm traveling frequently. I'm all over the county every week usually, and every time I was seeing this owl in this, the coincidence is just practically impossible. And I know it was the same massive white owl. My point being is that I haven't seen it for an entire year at least. I've been seeing a lot of regular barred owls, regular brown owls at work. There's one that just sits by the office regularly. This one was on the way home from work yesterday at around midnight. I was going back home and it flew over my windshield. And the flying over the windshield has happened quite a few times as well. And it's astonishing to me that in conjunction with that, I had an insane, incredible dream again last night. And this dream was unique in some ways, and I'll explain how. Um, in that I would wait, it felt really prolonged. Would wake up at night, go back to sleep, and continue dreaming that same dream, which usually doesn't happen. Usually, after I would wake up, it would be gone or whatever. But in this occasion, it seemed like it just kept going and going and going. And it was something. And let me tell you, there was snakes again. First and foremost, I was in Arizona. Not in this dimension, but in Arizona. And I lived in Tucson, Arizona for 5 years and north of Phoenix for 2 years, 7 years total. And Tucson is an incredibly strange place. Cyrus Kirkpatrick lives there, by the way. It is has a very odd energy, kind of almost like ET, extraterrestrial, extra dimensional like energy amongst those saguaro cactuses. It is a very strange place. And it is certainly a dimensional gateway. Pretty much the entire state is. Arizona is just a very interesting and strange place, and beautiful place too. And I was actually above, like what looked like to be in space, looking down, and I specifically saw Vale. Um, and that is a real town near Tucson called Vale. And I plunged down onto the earth, and I found myself in a ranch with a lot of strange and interesting people gathering for what seemed to be like some sort of very bizarre feast. Um, and there was some kind of performance being done. And this was like a really wide open space, and everyone seemed to be very excited and very emotional and very energetic for whatever reason. And they were preparing to watch someone, and this lady came, uh, and it was a setting. It was a room. It had this large table in the middle of it, uh, and we were all gathered around this lady who grabbed a bunch of snakes in her hand. She took them and she squeezed like literally what looked like a dozen snakes, somehow wrapped them around her hand. I don't know how she managed to do that. And she started walking around and presenting the snakes before us. And after which, there was some kind of dance performed where she would do some kind of ritual where she was walking in circles in a dance like motion with these snakes. Mind you, we're not wearing any tribal clothing in this setting or anything like that. It seemed and looked like regular clothes and regular looking people. She then made us go outside, and we went near a fence. And near the fence, she took a large machete knife or something. She held the snakes up and she chopped all of their heads off simultaneously. And they were still moving with their heads cut off. And she was holding on real tight so that they wouldn't move. But one of them broke free. And as it broke free and managed to escape beyond the fence, and it grew in size into this absolutely massive proportions. And so people started kind of freaking out. And this headless snake was moving about in the desert. So we run back inside. I'm at this point a little bit overwhelmed and I want to take a break and get the hell out of this place because I don't know what's going on. So I go into the middle of the city, which is where I found out this was a different parallel Earth of Tucson. I don't know whether it was a physical plane, whether it was an astral construct, whether it was another dimension is beyond me. But I do know that I was in Tucson. I just know that's where I was at. But it looked much better. It looked so beautiful. It was. So I drove to the middle of town and I parked near this beautiful yellow Spanish, Hispanic looking church with cobblestone bricks on the ground. There is a Spanish mission in Tucson that does look sort of similar, but not quite the same. And everywhere were these cobblestone gray bricks and these multicolored buildings from pink to yellow. It really looked like one of those quaint towns you would see in Mexico or Central America, with the beautiful multicolored buildings and the cobblestone streets. I'm sure some of you have seen pictures of places like that. There's a lot of towns and cities in Mexico that look like that, and I've been to some of them. Um, it was really cool, and I park my car and I start walking, and I'm walking all over the place, and I get lost, and I somehow end up in the back of a garbage truck, which is funny because I recently made a joke on Facebook on how I never met a single garbage man in my life or never knew of any. and that the conspiracy theory is that they don't exist. So here I am, stuck in the back of a garbage truck in the dream now. And I got pulled out by this tall African American man who I began walking with for a long ass time. And he kept asking me questions. I kept telling him I'm trying to find my car. I'm lost. And he's like, he just kept smiling and smiling and smiling. He's like, he's like, you don't need your car type of thing, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, uh, sorry. And then like he just kind of ended up leaving for whatever reason. And I keep walking, and I walk into this building, and this was a awesome building. Oh my God. Uh, if you can imagine rainbow purple colored marble. Uh, it looked like the marble was made out of what a galaxy looks like, or what stardust looks like. That's what this marble looked like in the building. Even the doors look like this, and they were made out of this marble like substance. And I was walking around this place like just stunned in awe, just absolutely loving it. And this lady wearing a suit comes in and smiles at me and presents to me this desk with two, get ready for this, either people or white rabbit type beings. They were white rabbits with their heads in the shape of a white rabbit, sitting in this desk looking at me. And I'm like, what in the world? And I go into the room to the right of them. There was two more white rabbits, one straight ahead and one to the right, exactly like that, laying in beds in this marble room. And I'm like, okay, oh man, this is getting long. I might run out of data, but I'm almost done. Eventually, I end up finding the car. I leave that building. I find the car, and that's kind of when my memory sort of dissipates, and I don't remember the exact details after that. But it continued for a while. So, definitely a lot of meaning in this one. Really interesting dimension. I would incarnate sometime in my eternal existence to that place just for the sake of seeing that purple marble building. That alone, I'd be like, incarnate, see that place, die, get out of there, no problem. But it was cool. A lot of meaning. Snakes, headless snakes, white rabbits, fences, desert, church, cobblestone, really interesting stuff. And I think even veil, or the word veil, has a lot of meaning. I'm going to look that up and see what that word means. Goodbye.